from my side to all of you. I think we are all in tough times. It's very hard for all enterprises and for all entrepreneurs in these days to run a business. You know, we had lockdown more or less in completely Europe, and of course this has a huge influence to all our companies. And for not only for that, but even in that situation, it's very important to have a knowledge where I am standing with my company, which are the main figures I do have in this very, very fast changing times. And for that reason, I think it's a good idea to run a controlling seminar with the controlling function in the German company, which Ronald Gleich, of course, can represent in very special and very well-known situation here in Germany. So I think it's more or less very important to have at all times the most significant figures in the company, and for that reason I think it's a kind of springtime for controllers, perhaps, because the controllers are not only the most loved people in a company, because most of them, they have the impression, oh, the controlling, they just want to see, they want to search, they want to examine if everything is right. No, I think it's opposite now. It's very important as a controller to give the right information to the management of the company, and for that reason, congratulations, Sinisha Namuski, to you to organize this conference, and of course, Ronald Gleich as expert to invite was a brilliant idea, and so I turn the microphone and the picture to Sinisha or to Ronald. I don't know the schedule. Probably it's now up to you, Ronald, to introduce the subject to the audience. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm looking forward to see you next time in some of the other conferences Sinisha, of course, will organize. Thank you very much.
I would like to ask you one question for the end. What is expectation of the German government for the crisis? Really expectation, we will find some solution during the summer, or what is your opinion? Because you have good connection with Bundestag. It's yes, out of the topic, but it's 1 minute plus. It will be interesting for us.
So you heard already that yesterday there was a meeting of the Chancellor Merkel together with the prime ministers of the 16 countries we do have in Germany, and they decided, as Merkel said, we can be a little bit how to say powerful, and we can try a little bit something to open the economy. And so that means we are now opening all companies, we are now opening all shops, which square meter it might be, and at the end of May until June, most of the restaurants, hotels, and all that will be opened, but all that with the prudence of distance you have to hold and disinfection you have to do. So the companies have to organize special situations in their production halls so that you can hold the distance of 1.5 meters. And in that sense, I think we will get a situation mid of June where more and less you can say within these restrictions that the economy is completely free running now.
Thank you. It's optimistic opinion. Thank you very much. I send regards from Ulrich. I'm momentarily here from Macedonia, and take care of you.
Thank you.
Okay. Professor Ronald, you will be first.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and as I assume, Professor Nomaski, I have now 10 to 15 minutes to give a short overview about the controlling function in German companies. Thank you very much, first of all, for the introduction of Professor Zeitel, and of course, thank you to Professor Nomaski to the invitation to this lecture. It's a great honor for me, and I like it all the time to support my colleagues and experts in Northern Macedonia. As you all know, I like the country very much, and yes, and my heart is with your country. So it's really a great pleasure to give you some insights for the controlling function in Germany. Yes, for me, I think it's necessary to give you at the beginning three main aspects for the success of the German controlling functions. As you all know, controlling was founded also in Germany, not only in the United States. We have a long tradition of controlling in the German scientific community and also in the practitioner world. And I think three aspects are really relevant for the success of the German controlling. I will start with a strategic point. I think it's very, very often that you have a real strategic orientation in the controlling functions in Germany. I will give you later some more idea regarding that. The main point here is controllers need to have a mission statement. Mission statement is very important, and as I see it, many successful German companies and successful controlling department have such a mission statement. The second important point, the second important aspect is that many of the German controlling departments have a clear description of tasks and processes. That means we have a process model and we have really clear defined what they have to do. It's the second point. The third point is about the controllers, the person of the controllers. We can say there is a really high level of competence currently in the German controlling department. That's the third important point, a high level of controller competence. And we can really excellent connect these 3 points with the standards of the International Group of Controlling. Maybe you know the International Group of Controlling. Also Professor Nomaski and Professor Zeitel are members of the International Group of Controlling, and we ought to together try to develop standards for controllers. We look to companies, for example, German companies, what is going on and what is successful in that companies. Here in that special case regarding the controlling department, and we observe what works really good, and we try to develop standards for the companies in Germany, in Northern Macedonia, Europe, and so on, and so on. We use that IGC, that International Group of Controlling, as platform. And we have defined some standards in the IGC that also often realized in German companies. First of all, we have established, as I mentioned, a strategic orientation tool for the controllers. We called it controller mission statement. What's the idea of a controller mission statement? How should controllers strategically position themselves? And what mandate and task follow from this position? That means you need to define the connection between controllers and managers, controllers and a strategy, corporate strategy, for example, and so on and so on. And of course, to define our own strategy for the controller department. I will go on with that aspect to establish a controller mission statement. It's good to have a template of the IGC. Professor Nomaski will send you more information, of course, about my idea, so you can use also my my charts for your own ideas. And one template you can use excellent for your own companies, and that is also often used by German companies. It's the template of the controller mission statement of the International Group of Controlling. Maybe you all know that mission statement. It's a written declaration of the core purpose of the controlling profession, and it gives you some benefits. It's a guideline for you, for your current and your future controlling activities in the organization. It helps you to communicate a sense of the direction and purpose for the controllers in the organization, and it serves as a controlling mechanism for keeping the controlling department on track. These are only three benefits, three arguments for such a mission statement. I will not describe now the whole statement of the IGC. Professor Nomaski, as I mentioned, will give you my charts and of course also the mission statement of the IGC. Important for me is now that 35% of the mid-size and large German companies know that controller mission statement of the IGC and often use this controlling mission statements for development or for further develop their own mission statement. And I will give you two examples of German companies who use such a mission statement on basis of such a mission statement of the IGC. One example is the company BASF. BASF is a German chemical company, and it's very, very successful. It's one of the largest German companies, and it's also successful in the controlling department. And they defined at BASF that controlling is a part of the management team, not only a supporter, a part of the management team, and the controller is very proactively. He guides, he challenges and consults the organization towards economical decision-making and value generating. The controller at BASF fosters dialogue and cross-functional comprehensive understanding within the organization, and last but not least, he enforces compliance with group reporting procedures. That means, to sum it up, the controlling secure management understanding of the economic situation of BASF. And all this is defined and described in a mission statement at the controlling of BASF. That means the strategic idea of the doing and the interactions of the controlling is described in a mission statement. Another example is the controlling mission statement of Covestro. Covestro is a company who works in the field of material science, and they have also an excellent, and I showed you or I will show you the example in my charts. They have really defined what means operational excellence for the controlling department, for example, in the mission statement. They define the role of the controller in the controlling department and in the interaction between controller and manager. And they also described what's the behavior and the competencies of the controllers in the controlling department. Of the use of controlling standards by IGC in the year 2017, and we asked several companies also in Germany what are application areas of really many companies use that controller mission statements, and if I speak from companies, I speak from German companies, for communication. The idea of the controlling department will use it also for motivation of the own team, for yes, a controlling instrument of the controlling department, also for guidelines or decision making. 5 really good reasons, arguments for the application, for the use of a controller mission statement. Let's come to the second aspect I mentioned for the success of German controlling departments and controlling areas in German companies. For me, a really good argument is the use of a controlling process model. What's the idea behind a controlling process model? The idea is that we have to describe and to analyze what are the really relevant processes in controlling. And behind the processes, of course, we have the tasks of the controllers. That means what tasks stem from these processes, and how can these processes efficiently be aligned and calibrated. Here we can also use the IGC process model. That means we have described such a model, and this model can use for the development of our own process model in the controlling department. What's the story behind such a model? As I mentioned, we have the task of the controlling, and we try to transform that task into processes. So we have 7 main processes normally in our controlling process model of the IGC. We have the process strategic planning, the support of the strategic planning process from the viewpoint of the controller. We have operative planning and budgeting. We have a forecasting process, cost accounting, of course, management reporting, project and investment controlling, and risk management. That means the parts of the controllers in the big field of the risk management. It's really important for every controlling department to define your own process model. And once more, the model of the IGC can help you for defining your own model. And I can recommend you a 3-stage model. I have also a chart for you in my lectures, charts which show that the first step can be the analysis of the current process model. That means you look on the one side at your own processes, what is defined, what is not defined. On the other side, you can look at the IGC model, and you can bring the ideas and the developments together. That means you have to develop in a second step your own target process model. That means this is the model you will work with in your strategic and operative controller day work. And the third step can be the implementation of a target process model. That means you need your own model, but you can, of course, use a very good template of the IGC. And the really successful German companies, and I speak here, for example, for the big companies, use process models, and they have also used the process template of IGC. For example, also BASF, to mention one example, use that process templates. And you can also use, in addition of the definition of the process, KPIs for selected controlling processes. Not only look on the efficiency of the process outside of the controlling department as main task of the controller, look also at your own processes, try to further develop their efficiency, for example. And so it's good to have own KPIs for your defined controlling processes, for example, in the planning and budgeting process, KPI named lead time budgeting or response time in the process cost accounting, or lead time forecast in the process forecasting. We have also developed some ideas at IGC, and you can use also these ideas of KPIs for controlling process as a first orientation for you in development your own process model. And we see in Germany about 15% of the German companies use that process model, and some of them also use KPI. And I'm really sure that these companies are the successful companies. What are the application area of process model? Of course, you can use that model for benchmarking in a big company, to benchmark the controlling department 1 with the controlling department 3, 4, or 5. Or you can use it for the benchmarking company to company, controlling department company A to controlling department company B, and so on and so on. It's useful also for task setting, for structuring of operation, to define process ownership, and so on. You have a really wide range of arguments why to use a process model, and German companies use normally such a process model. Let's come to my last point, the quality of the controllers in Germany. It's really important to have a good education as controllers. You can get your education, of course, on the one side at universities and business schools and so on, and also on the other side an institution like EBIT or Heidelberg Institute in Germany. We have also some institute like Heidelberg Institute, for example, Harvard's Controller Academy, and these are really success factors for the controllers in Germany. We have excellent executive education institutions for controllers, and that helps to reach a high level of controller performance. So the main question here is, what competencies do controllers have to possess to fulfill their task with high quality and to the satisfaction of their stakeholders? And the stakeholders are normally, the main stakeholders are the managers. So you have to think about what competencies do we need in the several fields of the controlling. We gave also at IGC ideas of competence profile for all main controlling jobs. For example, planning expert, reporting expert, human resource controllers, or operation controllers. You can use also that template and that profile list with a list of competences for your own executive education program for your controlling team or for you yourself. And in Germany, it's really, yes, excellent defined how to develop my controllers to a really high level, excellent level, so that they can really support their processes on a high level. So use these further development activities for all controllers to fulfill the target profile. Yes, it's necessary to define target profile for your several controlling activities, and you have to check up, is my current profile enough to fulfill my activities like the target profile wants, or should I do more, or should I develop more competences to reach the target level? So to sum it up, once again, we have to have three clarifications in the controlling department to be successful. We need to have something like a mission statement, controlling mission statement. We need to have a controlling or only ideas how can we further develop the controlling competences to a really high level. And this is the success story of the German controlling department. They fulfill all these needs, and that it's also a reason for the high reputation for the controlling departments in Germany. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope I will see you soon once again at Zoom, or maybe in some months also in Skopje.